Hey everyone, this is TA Stories 80 where we narrate fanfiction audiobooks. Now we begin chapter 2 of Beginning is in the End.
Her dress fitted snugly around her body, her hair styled in northern braids. Sansa smiled at herself in the mirror as one of the servant girls pulled the laces at the back of her dress before tying them. It had been nearly 30 minutes since Sansa had recalled any more images from her dream, and she silently hoped there would be no more. After all, I can't have the prince think I'm strange, Sansa thought to herself before glancing over her shoulder at the girl, Rayla, who stepped back and nodded. "Thank you, Rayla, you may leave." "My lady." The young brown-haired girl bowed slightly before slipping out the door. Sansa stared at the closing door, then sighed, wondering what she could talk to the prince about. Turning back to the mirror to take another look at her dress, she suddenly stepped back in surprise at the image before her. She closed her eyes tightly and prayed to the seven after catching a glimpse of an older redhead in a black dress embroidered with a silver direwolf on the chest. A black cloak, like the one her father wore, was draped around her shoulders. No, Sansa thought, shaking her head and squeezing her eyes shut. It's just my imagination. Just my imagination. When she opened her eyes, her own reflection stared back at her. She tried to calm her racing heart as she recalled that face. A face with a cold expression. Controlling her breathing, she reassured herself. It was all a dream. A vivid dream. But a dream. She turned toward the door and walked in small, careful strides, just as she had been taught a lady should. In the hallway, she closed her door behind her and wondered where Lady might be. Probably playing with the other wolves. Her slippers clicked softly on the stone floor as she made her way to the great hall. The closer she came, the more she heard utensils clattering and voices carrying through the air. Nearing the entrance, the smells of chicken, pork, potatoes, bread, and other dishes wafted to her, making her smile. Only the presence of the royal family, she thought, could bring about such a midday feast. As she entered the large, stone-walled hall, the sound of padded feet running toward her made her look down. Lady bounded up, tail wagging. "Lady," Sansa whispered, placing her hand on the direwolf's head and stroking her fur. Looking into Lady's eyes as the wolf sat and panted, she asked softly, "Were you playing with—" "I hate you," Arya's shrill voice rang in her mind. "I hate you. You lied. You lied, liar." The voice trailed off as quickly as it had come. A whine drew Sansa back. Lady tilted her head, eyes questioning. "It was just a dream," Sansa murmured, rubbing her direwolf again before turning her gaze toward the high table. Myrcella and Tommen Baratheon sat with their backs to her, Tyrion across from them drinking from a mug, and beside him sat her love, Prince Joffrey Baratheon, the future king of the Seven Kingdoms. That was just a bad dream. My prince would never harm my father or me. Thinking this, Sansa began walking toward the high table, Kingsguard all around. She glanced about the room. Robb sat next to an unhappy Arya. She must have wanted to go hunting with father and the king, while her mother, Catelyn, waved her over. Toddler Rickon giggled beside her. Sansa smiled and quickened her pace, Lady trotting at her side. Her mother had told the children many times that she did not want direwolves in the great hall, especially during royal meals, but with nowhere else to keep them but the kennels, a solution the Stark children fiercely protested. The wolves were allowed to roam so long as they stayed with their masters. Sansa's eyes drifted to the far wall where Jon sat apart from the royal guests, feeding Ghost under the table while speaking with Uncle Benjen. She quickly looked away. She noticed also that the Queen and Sir Jaime were absent, as was Bran. She thought little of it. Joffrey nodded at her and patted the empty space beside him. Smiling, Sansa touched her mother's shoulder before moving to sit by the prince. "Ah, Lady Sansa," Tyrion raised his mug as she approached. "How nice to see you again." "My lord," she curtsied politely. "Hello, wife." Sansa froze, eyes widening as Tyrion's figure shifted before her. The man in fine leather, with a brooch at his breast and a scar across his face, continued speaking. May I introduce Daenerys Targaryen, the true queen of the Seven Kingdoms. A silver-haired, lilac-eyed woman appeared at his side, dressed in a silver gown with a black and grey fur cloak. And just as suddenly, the image vanished. Yet anger bubbled inside Sansa at that name, a name of someone far away across the narrow sea, a name she should not have felt anything about. Sansa? Rob's voice cut through her daze. She realized her hand was trembling on his shoulder. Sansa? Her mother, Arya, and even Rickon stopped what they were doing to stare. My Lady Sansa? Myrcella asked, Tommen watching her with wide eyes. Sansa? Rob repeated, gripping her hand. His voice brought even Uncle Benjen and John's attention from across the hall. Sansa shook her head, forcing herself to look at Rob. I am fine, Rob. But her thoughts spun. Wife? Did the imp call me wife? Why would anyone marry him? In what dream would a lady like me ever wed a dwarf? She forced herself to school her features, her mother's training taking hold. My apologies, my lord, she said with a nod toward Tyrion. He chuckled, eyes glinting. I thank you for staring at the half-man. It's more than anyone of your station would do. But tell me, is there something in my teeth, or... No, my lord, Sansa stammered. I just thought... She glanced at her mother, then Rob, then Rickon, before looking back at Tyrion. I just thought... I am well aware of my lack of stature, Tyrion said dryly, swallowing more wine. You thought I was a monster. No, my lord, she faltered, recalling the older, war-torn Tyrion from her vision. He looked tired, as if he had seen battle and war, and I insulted him by staring. No, I cannot sabotage myself with the prince. She lifted her chin. I believe you will be a great warrior one day, my lord. Thank you for the jest, Tyrion smirked, pouring more wine. Joffrey scoffed beside him. Sansa noticed her family's surprised looks as she took her seat. Before she could speak further, a distant howl rang out. The Direwolves stirred. Grey wind slipped from beneath the table, joined by Lady, Ghost, Nymeria, and Shaggy Dog. All five darted from the hall. Mother! Sansa gasped, clutching the table as a new vision seized her. She was running through Winterfell's halls, breath ragged, heart pounding. Tyrion, watching her knuckles whiten, frowned. Lady Sansa? Sansa! Rob leapt up as she trembled. Sansa, what is happening? Catelyn cried. Where's Bran? Sansa panted, sweat glistening on her brow. In her mind, she saw her father and mother at Bran's bedside, his small body lying still beneath furs. Back in the hall, everyone stared as she cried again. Where's Bran? Where's Bran? Probably being a spider monkey somewhere, Joffrey muttered, returning to his meal. Joff! Myrcella chided. She's worried about her. Do you want to finish that sentence? Joffrey growled, glaring until she looked down. Bran fell from the broken tower. Ned's voice echoed in her mind, each word a dagger. He will never walk again. Pain shot through her head. Sansa cried out, clutching her temples, then collapsed to the floor. Sansa! Catelyn screamed, Rob dropping to his knees beside her. Tyrion set his cup aside. Benjen and Jon rushed forward, and Myrcella scrambled around the table in alarm. Jon caught the cold glare from Catelyn, but ignored it, pushing through to kneel beside Rob. Rob, he asked, confusion playing on his face. Before Rob could respond, the hall doors banged open. Lady Stark! Lady Stark! Jory Castell's voice rang out as he hurried across the hall. It's Lord Bran. Something's happened. Winterfell, 4 hours later. You killed them, Sansa hissed, walking toward the cowering figure before her. You burned Bran and Rickon. You killed them. You betrayed us. Theon, you... No, not Theon. Reek. I am Reek. The figure shook his head. You are Theon Greyjoy. Sansa stepped forward and grabbed his shoulders and shook him hard. You are Theon Greyjoy. I am Reek, the figure cried, tears streaming down his face. He shook off Sansa's hands and stepped back. Sansa's heart raced as she imagined her younger brother's bodies
hanging in Winterfell's central square while Theon and the Ironborn drank and celebrated the castle's fall. She stared at Theon, trembling, hunched, and muttering, "I am Reek," again and again. "You betrayed us," Sansa said. "You betrayed Robb. You betrayed Mother. You betrayed Father. You betrayed me." At that, Theon looked up, tears pouring down his face. "And you killed Bran and Rickon. You. Why? Tell me why." Theon could only shake his head. "Why?" Sansa narrowed her eyes and clenched her fists. "Why?" "No! No!" Theon whispered, closing his eyes as he shook his head. "Why, Theon? Why?" Sansa pressed, striding forward and grabbing his arm. "Why?" "I didn't," Theon stammered through hiccups as he tried to stop sobbing. I didn't." "You didn't what?" Sansa hissed. "You didn't." "Bran and Rickon are alive," he cried before looking away. Sansa's eyes widened in shock. "They are. My little dove. My brother is a traitor. My mother taught me never to hit a lady. Sir Meryn. Is this how a knight treats a child?" Sansa snapped her eyes open and sat up, panting hard. The sharp pain in her head had dulled to an ache. She was back in her room. Lady climbed onto the bed, licked her face, then lay beside her. Sansa's heart pounded as she placed her hand on the direwolf's fur, trying to steady herself. "I was in a great hall for my midday meal, and then the images in my dream came again, and now I had more dreams, and so vivid," Sansa thought. The image of father's head on a spike, the knight striking me with his gloved hand, and then... No, it was just a dream. She shifted beneath her furs, trying to turn and rise, but pain shot from her right thigh to her hip. At the same moment, she felt something warm trickle from her bottom lip. She touched it, then pulled her fingers away to find them stained with dark red. "What? Is this blood?" Sansa's hands trembled. "I must have bitten my lip while dreaming of that knight striking me. Yes, that's what happened. That must be it." Just then, her door opened. Sansa turned, her lips still bleeding, and saw Jane Poole staring in shock. "Sansa!" Jane exclaimed, rushing to her side. She snatched a cloth from the side table and dabbed at Sansa's lip. Her voice was etched with worry. "What happened? Why are you bleeding?" "I must have..." Sansa stopped when Jane pulled back the cloth. "I must have bitten my lip when I... Jane folded the cloth and pressed it back against her lip. "Sorry, but you are still bleeding," Jane murmured before pulling it away again. "I'll try to slow it down before calling for Mr. Lewin. He's busy and..." She glanced at Lady, who was watching sadly, then turned back to Sansa. Her voice lowered to a whisper. Bran was climbing and he fell from the broken tower." Sansa's eyes widened. She panted, heart racing as she imagined her brother lying broken at the tower's base. But Jane's next words froze her in shock. "I heard from the staff, the ones carrying water to Maester Lewin, that Bran will never walk again." "No," Sansa whispered, recalling her dream image of Bran lying motionless on the furs. "The bleeding seems to have stopped," Jane said. "I'll go call for your lady mother and..." "Jane, Sansa cried as she tried again to turn her body. "Sansa?" Jane asked, panic in her voice. Sansa lay on her side, her head pressed against Lady, her hand gripping her thigh. "Hurts," she whispered. "Why does it hurt?" Jane lifted the hem of Sansa's dress and lowered her petticoat. Her eyes went wide. She stepped back, hand covering her mouth. Sansa, tears filling her eyes from the pain, noticed her reaction. "Jane, what is it?" A mark," Jane whispered, trembling. A black and blue bruise stretched from Sansa's hip to her knee. "A bruise, Sansa. What did you do? How did you get this mark?" "What mark?" It looks like the blunt edge of a sword," Jane said, recalling the bruises her father sometimes bore after training with Sir Roderick. She looked from the bruise back to Sansa, equally shocked. "My dream. I dreamt the knight tore my clothes in court. Joffrey laughed from the throne. The knights stood around me, and one struck my thigh with his sword. What is happening to me?" "Dream. Dream," Sansa whispered. "Sansa?" Jane prompted. "I think I'm going mad, Jane." Sansa said, tears running down her face. I dreamed Bran fell. I dreamed I was slapped. I dreamed that... She stopped and turned away, whispering, It has to be madness. It was just a dream. Just a dream. I'm calling your lady mother, Jane said, rushing out. Sansa lay on her side, head resting on Lady's fur, tears spilling down her cheeks. Just a dream. Just a dream. All just a dream. Is this a dream? Am I dreaming now? To be continued.